people who seem to care enough to help build this platform consistently and persistently engage with the entire community. Newcomers, veterans, and those who have gone astray for a while for whatever reasons. And we realize when someone has gone missing and how we have this function of the handle or username to directly tag someone if we think of them. So, I mean, we have these features that are slowly being introduced in Ideapod that are very important because we want to continue this discussion. We want to keep these discussions going. Coming back to my education background and also this need that I feel to interact more synchronously with other Ideapod members, having reassigned physical space classroom courses for online delivery, I realize it's no easy task to make everything work like the conversations people used to have so easily in coffee house spaces or tertulias, which I mentioned earlier in a comment. The asynchronicity of Ideapod is frustrating for me. That's partly why I traveled hundreds of miles to New York in my car. During the salon, I was quiet. Other people would speak up and they would say what I had wanted to say. So I was pretty quiet, and it was a different type of salon. It was less informal. So a lot of people, quite a few people there were just interested in Ideapod and what it was about. And unexpectedly, Justin asked me to be on video for their Indiegogo campaign for the mobile app. So unexpectedly, he forces me to be on camera. And so just beware that the co-founders do this sort of thing. They actually talk to you and want to hear from their community members. They show that your ideas are important, and I think community members really appreciate this. Why I treasured the live broadcast Mark and Justin did a couple of summers ago. I feel that's a natural progression to move from asynchronous conversations to live synchronous meetings, because there is a disconnect with asynchronous idea sharing. Pre-recorded videos help bring in faces, but there is still this wall of time, of real-time conversations where even more ideas could spark just in the impromptu interactional setting. So it's kind of like, we've mentioned before, this dance that goes around, and I make a move or someone else makes this idea and we kind of move with it, right? And that's this, I think, this natural flow of synchronous idea sharing would make it more natural in a way. Maybe help the progress of ideas, move ideas forward easier, perhaps. For example, I would love to have coffee with Mark Smith and just talk to him about Omnilog, and just kind of go off. But it's like we get disconnected every time. Like, we'll say something. Ooh, squirrel. Sorry. There's a squirrel. That's like, no. Anyway, so bringing the squirrel into my conversation. Anyway. But I would love to, like, I saw that he responded to Peter Christian Magalog's, idea. So we're like, oh, I see you're online. So how would you like to have like a 10-minute chat? And we could do this with Google Hands, but it would be so much easier if we had something built into Ideapod to just kind of have an idea chat, an idea jam, right? And so I think that's what's missing there's still that disconnect, and ideas are cut short because we can't continue the conversation, because these ideas that we put out there do get lost, and those who are frequent visitors who have hundreds of ideas, their ideas may get lost in their profile page. We need some sort of an organization to group ideas together. For example, I have a wide range of interests. I need a way to customize our ideas so not only we can find them easier when we want to, for example, relate a certain idea to someone else's idea, but also a way that other people can find our ideas easier, not just in the search thing, but if they see that we participated in their idea, they're going to check us out as we are curious, right? But if you have hundreds of ideas and they see maybe the last few ideas that you have, my education ideas are maybe a couple dozen ideas down because I haven't gotten back to lessons learned in higher education. So we need a way to be able to simplify, to group together, to chunk together our ideas on the key elements that need to stay the same. Obviously, what's essential is you need to start simple and build from there, which you've been doing. You need a space, you need people, and you need ideas. And how do those interact with each other? Relating ideas to ideas, putting those ideas in certain areas, putting people in areas, connecting the ideas that certain people are interested in or are working on in the same space so that we can collaborate. And we've discussed curation. We've discussed mind mapping the ideas based on themes. But how to tag these is that complex nature of trying to make it something that is very complex, simple, and easy to use. And right now we have hashtags to group. So we are using the resources we have currently to make things work. And I think people in education understand this, and people in other fields understand this. We do want to do so much more, and we know that it could be possible, but with the current circumstances, it's not quite there yet. And we have to use the resources that we have and adapt to what currently tools that we have to make it work. And I think it's important to keep sharing your ideas. I think what the fear is that ideas will get lost. The ideas that need to be actionable are lost. That the development of important ideas, whether it's for startups or for the environment or for causes, they kind of end up dead in the water, perhaps, in Ideapod. But the thing that we need to remember is you need to be consistent and you need to be persistent. And that's something in life that we all know. To be successful, you got to continue to recycle maybe similar ideas and relate ideas that are similar to your thread. And for now, that's what we have. So in this idea feed, you just have to continue to post things that you feel matters, whatever that might be. Why is Ideapod different than these other social media platforms where I don't feel as comfortable sharing my views, my creative pieces, my reflections? And I think soon after I joined Ideapod, I found myself looking at old journals. These journals were written for me, and no one else ever read these journals. And I found myself looking at old writing, this angst of not being able to share these ideas that I had, these reflections that I had with anybody. And I had very close friends, and I would, tell them certain pieces of my thoughts, but I never had any kind of regular outlet for these thoughts. So I think Ideapod, in a way, is a, and I think Mark mentioned this in the web conferences, is to have a place to get our thoughts out of our head and put that self-reflection inside a space, and to have that reflection reflected back to other people, and they can maybe think about it and respond. So there's this kind of interactive reflection going on with that Ideapod, which I really like. And so this whole idea about, having these journals when I was a teenager, I felt like no one ever got me, all these artistic ideas, these stories I write. And a few people really enjoyed my writing that I shared with, but I didn't share with a lot of people back then because, we're all analog back then. This was before computers. That shows my age. So, well, not before computers, but the proliferation of computers. The mainstreaming of personal computers. So I found Ideapod via Twitter, actually, and that was during the time when I was doing a lot of research on Twitter for the program we were building, and I was following certain people, certain organizations, and I can't remember exactly one, but Ideapod came up as maybe something related to another site that I was following, and it might have been a quote site, I'm not sure. But and I came to the site, and this was a space where there were all sorts of ideas that were mingling, all different types of ideas, and people who interacted and had similar experiences with their, for example, oddball thoughts. So the oddball in me loved Ideapod from the start.